People in all the towns surrounding Lewiston, Maine, are being told to shelter in place as a massive manhunt continues for the gunman allegedly responsible for killing 18 people last night, injuring 13 others. Senator Tim Kaine serves on the Health, Armed Services, and Foreign Relations Committees. Senator, you were governor of Virginia in 2007. 32 people were murdered in the Virginia Tech mass shooting. What is your message to the Maine community now facing a similar tragedy?
Well, it's hard to put it into words, Andrea. Anything like this just reopens a wound that never heals for all Virginians. When we see a report of this kind of shooting tragedy, we all remember that tragedy at Virginia Tech and so many since then. And it just sickens your soul. I mean, we have a sickness in this country around gun violence, and it's a uniquely American problem. Many other nations don't have the problem that we have. States, including Virginia, have finally taken meaningful steps to deal with it, but Congress thus far has generally been unwilling to. But the main message in the aftermath of a tragedy has to just be our hearts go out to loved ones, family members, and those who are still living under fear because there hasn't been the arrest yet. And I know that terrorizes people in the area around Lewiston.
And you helped reintroduce legislation for a military-style assault weapon ban. It expired years ago. It was put in '94, expired 10 years later, and has never been put back in place.
Yeah.
How important is an assault weapon ban?
Assault weapons ban would be very important. That's why I'm proud to co-sponsor it. It worked when it was in place for 10 years. It would work again, but it's not the only thing that works. I think continuing to do expanded and comprehensive background record checks. We don't know a lot about the perpetrator, but we do know there were significant reports of him having mental health issues, threatening violence against the National Guard base. You know, how someone like this with these serious mental health issues, which would pose a danger to others, but also to himself, has access to so many weapons. That's going to be in the aftermath of this a question that we'll need to ask, and it may point a way toward additional work we can do on the background record check system at the federal level.
Now, the suspect in Maine is an Army reservist. I understand he had a civilian role, though, not a military frontline role,
yeah.
not in combat. But police say that he recently reported those mental health issues, as you just pointed out, and more needs to be done about that. But you're also involved in legislation co-sponsoring a bill to prevent veteran suicide. And
yes.
This has now, been just yesterday, several Senate Democrats backed an amendment. As I see it, it would protect veterans' gun rights and would say that if they're appointed a fiduciary to manage their VA benefits. Is the Senate now moving in that direction? How would that affect your legislation?
I'm very troubled by this, the passage of this bill on the Senate side yesterday, and I hope we can avoid it from passing. It would suggest that if you're a veteran or treated at a VA hospital and you have mental health issues, including diagnoses that you have mental health that would make you dangerous to yourself or others, you could nevertheless have access to deadly firearms. And that gives veterans and their families less protection than other members of society have. We don't put a restriction on weapon ownership for people with mental health issues where they've been adjudicated mentally ill and dangerous. We don't do that to punish them. We do it to protect them and their families. And why we would strip that protection away from veterans is beyond me. I voted against that provision on the floor yesterday, and I think, again, we don't know all the facts about last night, but when I saw that the individual was in the Army Reserves and had been having mental health issues, it made me think about that vote that had just been cast on the floor a few hours earlier.
And separately, but importantly for our military readiness, is the hold that Senator Tuberville of Alabama has on all military promotions. You're working on a resolution to counter this on high-level promotions. Would this affect everyone? Because it's not just the CENTCOM leadership, which is so important for the Middle East right now. It's all of the military, their families.
Absolutely.
All unable to move, their children in schools.
Yeah, it's now about 600. And Andrea, it probably affects Virginia more than any other state in terms of where people are living as they're waiting to move or where they are wanting to move to. Virginia probably has the highest number in this list of these pending nominations. And we need to break the Tuberville logjam. We've been urging the Republicans to put pressure on him. They've not been willing to do it. I think you're going to soon see the introduction of a rule adjustment in the Senate that would not forego the ability to have a floor debate and vote on nominees, but would allow nominees to be batched together so that floor debate could take place, on dozens or hundreds of nominees in one vote, rather than require individual action. The Tuberville hold is not just a hold on nominees, but he's also blocking efforts to batch people together so that we could act expeditiously. I think you're going to see a rule introduced. It'll have to go through the Rules Committee and be voted on by a supermajority in the Senate, but it would allow us to work through this. And we need to do this, particularly, let's get it done before Veterans Day and get these people in place.
Senator Tim Kaine, thank you very much.
Great to be with you, Andrea.
You too, sir.